Hey everyone, this is your brain coach. Today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the tragedy that's happening in our world. We have more individuals that are attempting to commit suicide and succeeding than probably ever before in human history. One of the things that we can do to prevent our children especially from going there. How can we help our children so they don't get into the depression, so they don't think suicidal ideology? Um, One of the reasons that students can go into dark places is because they don't have the self esteem or the belief in themselves. They don't have the courage to ask for help. And the reason they don't have the courage is because it is connected to self esteem and feelings of self worth. They just don't know that they're worthy. And they don't know that parents and family care and really want to listen. Sometimes there's so much going on that parents don't mean to. And as family, we don't mean to dismiss the signs, but sometimes we can miss the signs. So, if we can help a student if we can help our children raise their self esteem, you're going to find that they will be less prone to having desperate thoughts, which is what suicidal thoughts are, the thoughts of desperation. Simple things that we can do. One thing, thank your child. Don't take your child for granted. When they do something that's worthy, that you believe is helpful, something that was good, thank them for that. If they even eat all their vegetables, or they help you unload the groceries, or something that maybe even is a chore, something that they've been assigned to do, and they do it, thank them for that. My son, for example, is responsible for taking out the trash and the recycle. It's his job to make sure that all the trash is out on the days that it should be out. Well, I can take that for granted and never acknowledge him because that's what we've assigned him to do. That's his family contribution or chore. And when he does it, if I just stopped and said, I appreciate you doing that. And he usually says, well, that's my job. And I say, yeah, but I appreciate it. That's a great way to thank your child for something that you expected them to do, but you want them to know you appreciate it. It doesn't mean that they're going to stop doing it or they're going to want appreciation all the time. But once in a while, thanking them is a great idea. Number two things. So we're going to talk about 5 things total. But the second thing that we can do is praise the progress. It's a natural reaction for us to praise someone when the results turn out. But if we praise our children along the journey, it'll encourage them to keep trying. And even if they don't succeed, the message is that you appreciated their trying. And as our children are developing and growing and mastering new skills, it's very normal for our children to take on a task that they have not been successful in at this point in their lives. So we may even ask them to do something that we've never seen them do. So, for example, you can put your child in a swimming class and you're asking them to swim laps. Now, it's natural for a parent to recognize the child's achievement once they did it, once they swam the lap, once they did the activity, once they bake the cake, you can recognize them. But if you recognize them for the efforts along the journey, because they might not bake that cake the first time, but as a parent, you really want them to just keep trying. If there's something else that you're rewarding them for and you don't recognize the journey, you're going to send a message to your child that success and achievement is the only indication of their self-worth, that's not what you want. You really want a child to feel their self-worth along the journey, because they may never arrive to a complete success, especially if they're doing this for the first time. What you really want is you want your child to continue trying. Third thing to remember about the 5 things that we can do to raise our child's self-esteem: do not compare your child to their siblings. So important, because then the child gets the message that they're not that, they're not good enough. And the truth is, you don't want your child to sequester or to put off who they really are to be like a brother or sister. You'll find that those desires to sequester themselves and to be someone that they are not can eventually lead to anxiety and depression, because every individual wants that. Basic human need is freedom and self-expression. Every human being wants to feel free and self-expressed. So when we compare one child to another child, what we do is we sequester, we quiet, we nullify the value that's unique to that child. And we really want to encourage every one of our children to sing their unique song. The truth is, the world is not the same place if every individual doesn't sing their unique song. We are not supposed to be like everyone else. Every single human being has a unique contribution to the overall planet success, to the success of our species, believe it or not. So, we can say, what if they have a bad personality? What if my child behaves badly? And I'm comparing them to their siblings so they can see that if their sister can do it or their brother can do it, so can they. That's not necessarily going to give you the results that you want. I would use the other skills that we were talking about, praise them in the journey, thank them for the things that they do, and pointing them in the direction of mental health and being the best version of themselves that they can be. If you do this, you'll notice that the child has self-esteem, self-confidence. Now, with self-esteem and self-confidence, they're going to find a healthy way to live. But if you take away self-esteem and confidence, even though they have bad behavior, if you take self-esteem and confidence out of the equation, they will never find a way through their bad behavior, because they just don't think they're worth it. They think they're never going to please you as a parent. And that's really dangerous. I tell parents all the time that come in with children with diagnosis of ADD, for example. Most often, especially in elementary school, a child with ADD has probably gotten in trouble. They've probably been put on timeout or suspended. So I think it's very important, especially for that child, to know that their behavior is not acceptable, but they are loved. So it's the behavior that you don't like, not the person. So when you do give criticism to a child, recognize the behavior. I don't like it when you don't eat your food, or I don't like it when you have a temper tantrum. You're not saying, I don't like you, you're bad. You're saying the behavior is bad. Children need to know, they need to have that clear connection. When you say you're bad, you're a bad daughter or a bad son, they don't know what to correct. And all they can do is drown in their lack of belief in themselves. A parent has so much power, especially when a child is in those formative years. A parent that can acknowledge their child for what they're doing right gives attention to what they want more of, and you'll see it grow. The next thing is to avoid sarcasm. One way to confuse your child is to use sarcasm where they don't understand the context. Saying you're so bad is actually sarcastic and doesn't give the child clear directions on what they need to do. Saying things like, well, with your luck, or you're never really going to do it. Be true with yourself. Be honest with me. Those are all sarcastic comments, and they're actually putting the student down and giving them very little hope. You may understand that sarcasm is a way to redirect them. It's a way to, um, some parents think that using sarcasm can actually deter a certain behavior, and that's not accurate at all. When you redirect your child and you're trying to have different behaviors, be very clear with them of the behavior that you are seeking, and be very clear with them of the behavior that you want them to discontinue. Do not criticize the child, criticize the behavior. Next thing to do, very important, use praise, authentic praise, combine it with the specific behavior that you want to change or add to, and you're going to find amazing results. So your child may use their phone at the kitchen table. When they're having dinner, they're using their phone. And that's a behavior you definitely want to extinguish, or you want it to go away. So as soon as they put their phone down, say, you know what? I really appreciate the way you put your phone down and you focused on the family. Doing that gives them clear instructions on what they're going to get your attention for. Now, you can also argue with them or tell them, you know how many times I've told you not to have your phone on at the table? Do you know how many times I've told you not to be on the phone, engage with the family? You can do that. However, you're going to find that if you combine that with praise of when they do what you ask them to do, you randomly give them a unique, authentic compliment. It's going to teach them something so profound. It's going to show them that they're worth it. Their self-esteem is going to go up, and it's going to give them a reason to do it again. All children really want the attention of their parents. They want the engagement of their parents, especially when they're younger. So when you engage with a positive compliment about what they're doing right, and you emphasize it with the behavior, you connect it to the behavior you want to grow, you're going to find amazing results. This is Dr. Punjabi signing out.